Welcome to another exciting episode of American Warrior Radio, coming to you since 2009. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place, American Warrior Radio. We're always efforting to bring you news, notes, interviews, and current events for all things military and veteran related. The bumper music for American Warrior Radio is provided by none other than combat veteran and mill hop artist Stephen Hobbs. Thank you, Stephen. With that said, let's kick the tires and light the fires and get this episode off the ground. Hi, everybody. It's Garen Cohn with American Warrior Radio Show. Thank you for joining us, especially on such a gorgeous day here at the Veterans Memorial Center in Brevard County. We've got a lot to share with you, but I want to introduce you to somebody special. I've known this man for a long time now, Dean Schaaf. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Good
to
to
meet
see you on the radio here. And just for our viewers, give us a little bio before we get into the beauty of the VMC.
All right. Well, I graduated from high school in 64. I got drafted in 65 in the height of Vietnam, or the start of Vietnam.
Sure.
And decided I was planning to go to college, so I joined the Navy because they had the best thing to offer in the type of education, schools, and everything.
But you enlisted. You got drafted and were enlisted. Because you're a Mustang.
Yes. I enlisted, and I spent, I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Chicago, West Chicago, and then spent 64 weeks in A school, electronics A school.
Over a year.
Over a year. And normally an A school is like 15 weeks or
Sure.
so. But I was in a program called Selective Electronics Training, and I obligated 6 years to get that. Eventually, my first duty station, after spending 12 weeks in Key West at a C school, I went to Iceland. So, big deal, big change from Key West to Iceland. But
where were you born and raised, though?
I was born and raised in Indiana.
In Indiana to Iceland. This is what the military will do for you.
And in this is getting a little ahead of us, but 26 years in the Navy, I spent 4.5 years in Iceland total. Different tours. So I applied for an officer program while I was in school called Naval Enlisted Scientific Education Program, NESEP. It's no longer a program, but there were 21 universities that were in that program, and Purdue University was one of them, and that's the one I wanted to go to. Got it.
You're a Boilermaker.
I'm a Boilermaker, right. And they're going to win the NCAA here in a few days.
You can hope.
I will. It's guaranteed.
You believe, okay.
Guaranteed they're going to win.
All right, so your MOS was something very technical.
Right, electronics technician. And then when I graduated, I got a double E degree at electrical engineering at Purdue. Went to flight training. I asked to be a pilot, but I was too old. I was 6 months too old to be a pilot, so I went naval flight officer and ended up in P3 aircraft, which is, in that aircraft, the naval flight officer runs the whole show. You know, we drop buoys, track submarines, and so I did that for 18 years.
Wow.
And in my enlisted days, it was SOSA stations. We tracked submarines using hydrophones out on the water. So my entire 26 years was anti-submarine warfare. And then,
brother,
my last
essential need out there
in the Cold War. Today. In the Cold War, that was very essential because in the early days, the Soviets had missiles in the Bermuda Op area we talk about, with targeting the East Coast. So we stayed on top of those guys as much as we could.
I'll bet you've got some stories to tell in that regard, too.
I do, but we don't have the time for that.
We don't, because you people don't have much of an attention span, my producer teaches me. I can still learn things. We're talking with Dean Schaaf here at the gorgeous Veterans Memorial Center on Merritt Island in Brevard County. And Brevard got rich military history. Right. Past and present military members and their families. We're over a couple 100,000 with 76,000 vets.
Right.
And you serve currently as the president of the VMC. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll go back the last 3 years in the Navy. I was at Patrick Air Force Base. So that brought me into this area. I was at NAS Jax before that for 11 years. So I moved down here, served my 3 years over at Patrick, but I was working with NASA. Got my foot in the door with NASA. And ended up doing a career with NASA then, 21 years with NASA. Worked 112 space shuttle missions on the landing end of it. I was in charge of the landings of the shuttle. From ground operations manager at TAL sites overseas, transoceanic abort landing. They could land overseas, so we had to have towel sites there. And then back here, I had landing sites at KSC, Edwards, White Sands.
So if they were going to land at White Sands, you would fly out there and monitor.
We would be there. We had
You'd be there.
One of us would be there. I had 5 sites to man every mission, so I'd send guys to these sites, and I've been to all of them, and I made something like 70 trips overseas during this time. So
wow, so
but,
a rich career with NASA as well.
But that got me into this area, and then once I did my career with NASA, retired at the end of the shuttle program, I started volunteering here. I'd already was on the board of directors here because I was part of the Fleet Reserve Association that had a permanent board.
Sure.
So we covered that. Even when I was at NASA, I was working
involved.
Sure. So then in 2014, 15, I got elected president, and I've been president ever since.
And the growth here that I have seen since 2009 has been enormous, and all on the positive side.
Yeah.
We are here on the Banana/Indian River right behind us. Look at this. There's a beautiful pier here at the facility. The park is Brevard Veterans Memorial Center, but this is a big county park.
And they are so dedicated to this park. All this was wiped out in Hurricane Irma, I believe it was. And it completely wiped this out. FEMA and the county rebuilt this 350-foot boardwalk here.
Where they can fish and just enjoy the day, sit with the chair.
They hauled 200 ton of coquina rock in here to stabilize this, and then built this beautiful boardwalk. And when we rent this out and we have events, we've had weddings out here, we've had parties. You know, it's a great place to do that sort of thing.
But it sounds like it's costly to come here. What's the person got to pay to get here?
It's free.
Oh, it's free. We like that.
Except when you rent our facility, that's part of our income.
You bet.
But no, and we're very competitive on our rental rates. But the museum is free, and that's what we advertise.
Encourage you to make a donation, though. You're going to see there's rich history represented here, going back to the Revolutionary War.
Exactly. We got artifacts from the Revolutionary War to the War on Terror and present. The museum used to be where our library is. It was just one room. And in 2015, I don't know if Don, we recovered this, but we asked for $1.5 million from the state of Florida to expand. And we got that. Governor Rick Scott at the time signed off on that. And we built the museum. Ivy Construction built that in 6 months in 2016.
And it's gorgeous.
Right. So we opened that up on Veterans Day of 2016. So we've got this beautiful 6,000 square foot museum with all these artifacts. And all these artifacts have been donated by people, like you, the public veterans that have it in their
So what you're saying, if somebody's watching this and they have grandpa's war medals or something that might be of interest to the VMC, they could get in touch with the center.
And we look at that, and a lot of times it's just pictures and this kind of thing that mean nothing, but we will properly handle those or destroy them or pass them on to another museum. And we do that a lot with
because you can't have duplicates of all the different stuff.
And the real some of the stuff we scan, save it in our library. So if you've got anything in your closet, in your attic, we've got a German machine gun in there that one lady came in the museum and she says, "I've got a Gatling gun in my attic." A Gatling gun. So we went there, and it turned out to be the World War I German machine gun that was brought back by one of her relatives. And we've got the story of how it got here and everything. It's on display.
Sweet.
Beautiful.
This is such an awesome venue. If you're going to have a wedding or an anniversary or some special event, you can get in touch with the center and let them work out the terms with you. Otherwise, it's completely free to come here and visit the Memorial Garden, where all the helicopters and airplanes. You've got an A-7 out there.
We've got monuments out there that cover every conflict. There's bricks that cover every conflict.
Talk about that for a moment, because that can help generate income for the center as well.
Right. They can buy the 4x8 or 8x8 bricks, or larger, 2x2, 2 foot by 2 foot, whatever, if we got space out there. But it's very important. You say, well, my dad's still alive. Well, that's, so what?
Great. He can come and visit his memorial brick.
Memorial out here. So,
sure.
So we're doing that. And we've got an Eagle Scout project right now to update that on our database. And this Eagle Scout's going to go out there and with his friends or his buddies, going to catalog all this, make sure we have everything out there cataloged, and we'll have a kiosk out there eventually that you can walk up to, put your name in there, and it'll tell you exactly where to go to get your brick.
See?
So that's right now. People, I just got calls yesterday about, well, I know you've cashed my check. Is my brick done? And yes, it's done out there, and we send her a picture of it. You know,
Outstanding.
So yeah, please. That's one of our major fundraising, along with the rental of the facility.
Sure.
To get that. But we've got 2 helicopters out there, both Vietnam era. We've got a Huey, UH-1, and then a Cobra helicopter gunship that's out there. We have an A-7 aircraft that's on loan from Naval Museum over in Pensacola, and we've got a tank that's Korean War era.
Got
tank.
some
I think
history.
It's M48, right? A deuce and a half and a water buffalo, a water wagon. And we're still we got right now. There's a group just got $600,000 awarded to put another monument out in the park, and that's the Medal of Honor monument, and that's the River Rats is working with us to get this thing into the park.
I hear there's a theme, and that is cooperation.
Yes.
That is organizations like AVET Project, American Warrior Radio, the BVC, coming together and furthering the mission to help all of us and to help the younger set understand why they have the freedom to come and fish off your pier in the first place.
We've got 17 tenant organizations that meet here on a regular basis. And if you look at our sign out front, there's a logo for every one of them on that sign. I wanted it to look like pulling into a city in the Midwest with the Kiwanis and all the stuff on the sign there, and that's what we have out there now. So we've got about 500 members, and a lot of those are organizations. But yeah, we try to be the hub of veterans support. If we don't know, if somebody come in here and we can't help them, we know where to send them.
Yes,
to get
indeed.
The help. NVHS or AMBET.
AVET or AVET Project.
Yeah, AVET. Yes.
We're talking with Dean Schaaf. I know you have a meeting you have to go to, but we appreciate you spending some time with us today. Any last words, or better yet, how can they get how can they get in touch with the VMC?
Just call us at 321-453-1776. Can't forget that. Extension 5 for me. But we'll get to there. I get calls all the time. Just had one this morning about a field trip for the museum, and that's something we love to do.
Of course,
so call us on that. Field trips from senior enlisted or enlisted or senior. What am I thinking about?
Senior trips.
Senior citizens coming in from
you and me both. Man. Okay, we just had our senior moment.
Yeah, we did, and I have a lot of those. But no, anyway, it's that's what we need, and we have so much. We get out into the classroom and talk to the kids. We've got traveling trunks. We got a trunk for every war that they can check out and take to the schools and use hands-on. They see what was going on in World War II, World War I, Civil War. So
do you see how involved the VMC is, not just in this community, but let's say you're a viewer out in Wyoming. Maybe you need to use this as a model to start something up in your own community. They're here to help. You want to prosper this whole mission.
In fact, this traveling trunk program, we got that from a museum, I think, in Minnesota that we ran across and adopted it here.
Made it work here. It's outstanding. Well, Dean, thank you for your
Thank
service.
You.
Thank you for your continued service here. Appreciate you joining us today. God bless.
Thank you, Karen. Right. Appreciate it.
Listen, don't forget, thank a vet. Hi everyone, it's Garen Cohn with American Warrior Radio. I'm here with my good friend Christian. We're here to deliver a very important message about a crisis in our land.
Suicide prevention, more specifically, veteran suicide prevention.
22 a day are taking their own lives. This must stop. This can't continue. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please know that God has tomorrow planned for you. Don't take your own life. And just remember, suicide is a permanent solution
to a temporary problem.
I want to remind you that AVET Project must raise funds for our PR&R retreats for active duty and veterans. PR&R, Project Recuperation and Reintegration Retreats. It changes lives. Help us help them, and help yourself to a chance at winning this Kel-Tec KSG 410 shotgun. You've seen Kel-Tec in the movies, John Wick, Hawaii Five-0, all over. Go to the website, avet-project.org. Drawing is to be held on Patriot Day 2024. That's 9/11/2024. Until next time, don't forget, thank a vet.